Delta, still crying the same tears. From Emmett to Nolan, how many more years? Copper blood in these waters, Most High see us here. Peace be still, but the truth gonna appear. Emmett Till, young boy whistling in the store. White lies turned to lynch and dragged him from the door. Beaten, shot river, swallowed him whole. Open casket, mama showed the world his soul. Nolan Wills, 18, boat ride on the 4th. Only black in the circle, now they say he drowned 4. Horn Island whispers, friends came back without him. Mississippi history, still hunting, still doubting. Same state, same pain, different name. Black boy lost in the Delta rain. When will it change? Lord, when will it change? Ancestors screaming, we never left this stage. 1955, Chicago boy down south for the summer breeze. Money, Mississippi, wrong place for a black team to breathe. Brian stole maybe a whistle, maybe just a smile. Jim Crow code broken, now they coming in the night. Wild Roy and Malone snatched him from his uncle's floor. Tortured that baby, Fanta round, body in the Tallahatchie roar. Mutilated face, mama said let the world see. Acquitted by all white jury, not guilty, set him free. Sparked the movement, Montgomery rose from the flames. But the Delta dirt still holding black boys' names. Emmett was 14, just a child in his prime. Lynched for existing in a twisted mind. Emmett Till, Nolan Wills, Delta shadows ringing bells. Black life cheap in these haunted lands. Most High coming with justice in his hands. 2026 July 4th, independence gone wrong. Broke the Horn Island with the crew, singing freedom songs. 18 years young, big heart, only copper in the mix. Friends white as the judge that let killers walking. 55 disappeared that day, body found on the shore 2 nights later. They say drowning, no foul play, but the family know better. Questions swimming deeper than the Gulf waters cold. Why leave your phone? Why the silence from the foe? Mississippi again, history echoing loud. Been crunk, calling for truth, independent, autopsy proud. Was it accident or the past rising from the mud? Black boy with white friends, trust issues in our blood.
Why the same soil claim my sons? Ancestor never left, we still the chosen one.
From Till's open casket to Nolan's unanswered call. In time signs, Leviathan rising, watch the fall. No hate, just black love, we hold each other tight. But stop crashing out on each other and demand what's right.
Peace be still,
Through the storm we prevail,
Father's child.
we shall not fail. Both in Mississippi, Delta's cruel embrace. One lynched open, one body lost without a trace. Emmett's killers brag after the verdict came. Nolan's story fogged in speculation and shame. 14 or 18, young kings taken too soon. Waters claim the bodies, but the spirit touched the moon. Same fear, same doubt, same racist undercurrent flow. But we wiser now, cameras, voices won't let go. Indigenous copper, mountain builder stand tall. We walk together, ancestors answer the call. No more silent nights, no more cover graves. Justice for Emmett, justice for Nolan. Raise the blade.
Emmett Till, Nolan Wills.
Tell now,
Emmett Till,
but our spirit never failed. We got black love, revolution now. Most High know my heart, make it right somehow.
peace be still.
Peace be still. From Till to West, the story's still real. Let the world see, let the truth be free. Let the world see, let the world see. Let the truth be free.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your morning wake up call. So, as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. All right. Let's see who's in here. Okay. Nova is here. Desmond, Love, Christy, Betty Boop. All right, let's get into it. Sheila, Barbara, Leon is here. All right, let's get it popping. Truth Teller is in the virtual building. Okay, the Raging Rooster. Alice is here. All right, we the people. Love Christy, the lovely T. Angie, Simply Sandra. Okay, shout out to all of my loyal royals and everyone tuned into the Queen. And a big shout out to my moderators because y'all know they be putting in work. I see you, Gregory, beloved. And so that I've been said, let's get ready to get into it. But first, hey, Chris. Before we get started, as per usual, let's have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes. I see you, Hadassah.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
All right. So let's get ready to get into it. But before we do, hold on, let me send something real quick. There was a 15-year-old Black girl who was found shot and dead in Mississippi. I forget which part. Hold on. Okay, so before we get started, I want to share this video with you all. Like some, everyone, please like and share. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, I want y'all to listen to this. Like some, everyone, please like and share. It doesn't cost you a thing. Okay, and it helps keep us in the algorithm. Thank you in advance.
Black people, melanated people. You see what's going on out here. You're hearing about the hangings, the lynchings that's happening, and they're classifying all of them as suicides. And this is happening back to back to back here in this year alone. Black people, melanated people, you see what's happening out here. Nolan Wells situations and police brutality and all types of circumstances that highlights just how much these low vibrational inorganic beings hate you. Black people, melanated people, you see what's happening out here. But our divine ancestors from way back when, the ancient ancestors, the ones that you likely never met in this lifetime, they said, don't get mad, get magical. Our divine ancestors said, don't get mad, get magical. Because see, they recognize that that righteous indignation is beginning to rise within you. That fire and that passion that you're feeling in your belly that's saying, oh, hell no, it won't be one of mine. Oh, hell no, they're doing it again. That fire that is within you is highly useful right now, here in the age of Aquarius. Melanated man and woman, don't get mad, get magical. Because see, our divine ancestors are the alchemist. They understood magic. They understood rituals. They understood alchemy, transmuting energy. We are the first to understand these things. And it got into the hands of those who would later on pervert it and hand us a very watered down version. Matter of fact, nothing nowhere close, not even a small fraction close to what we understood back then.
Okay, now I'm going to leave it right there because I hadn't listened to that video before I played it, and I don't know what all she's going to say, but I saw on there that she said for us to get magical. And the reason I played that is because I was thinking the same thing last night. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing last night, that it's time to do what the ancestors would have done in this situation. Okay? I want y'all to pay attention because also, let me just say this. Hold on, let me see if I can find that screenshot. I'm pretty sure I sent it to myself. Hold on. Okay, so there is a lady by the name of Sarah Fields, and I'm sure you all have heard of Sarah Fields. Sarah Fields is a conservative. She is a maggot, and she's just always keeping up mess. You know, she was one of the main people that was rage baiting during the Carmelo Anthony trial. And now here she is again with the Nolan Wells situation. But what I want to say is this. Where did I put that? I could have sworn I sent it to myself. So I had a screenshot. I don't know what I did with it. Y'all know I be collecting so many receipts. Sometimes I get confused. But here's the thing. So, Sarah Fields left a comment for this woman who is supposedly a voodoo priestess. And the voodoo priestess said, in fact, that she was working her voodoo on them or something like that. Or she may have said the ancestors were, but nonetheless, they were saying that this is why Warren is looking the way he's looking. And so Sarah Fields said that she spoke to the attorney, the one by the name of Edward Andrew Paltzik. And to which he replied, and that's why I wish I can find that screenshot. Don't worry, I'll find it later because I know that I have it. But anyway, so the attorney told Sarah to tell the voodoo priestess that her powers do not work because he himself has been casting spells since the very start. He said he's been casting spells of protection. I don't know what kind of spells he's been casting, but I'm pretty sure he likely has been casting spells. Okay? Now, y'all may think that sounds funny or it's a joke, but I told you all quite some time ago that this is spiritual warfare. And when it's spiritual warfare, you need to pull out the things in your arsenal of, okay, that are normally found in the spiritual realm. That's all I'm saying. And so, with that all being said, let's continue. Because y'all ain't going to do nothing but complain. That's all y'all going to do is complain. Okay? I'm working magic right now as we speak. That's how I got the scoop on Judge Ashley Cole. Let me tell y'all something about Judge Ashley Cole. She's running the show and she's calling the shots. And I want y'all to pay attention. You see, this is why she came out at the beginning and tried to get ahead of the story. This is why she came out right away and issued a statement. And then she issued another statement. And I want you all to remember how she said, oh, we won't be speaking to the media. After this, we won't be speaking to the media. But then she did exactly that. And not to mention her husband came and spoke to the New York Times, or was it the New York Post? He spoke to one of them because that's how we found out that he was launching that $50,000 reward money. Okay, for anyone leading to giving information that led to the arrest or conviction of anyone who had something to do with Nolan's death. But I thought there was nothing to see here, folks, and it was all just no evidence of foul play. And remember when I told you all that I saw she had sent a message to Officer Rage Batum Tatum? Yeah, I knew I did. I thought I showed it to you all, but there it is in case you missed it. Okay. Tatum says that's the exact opposite of how real police investigations work. Right here, she told him, message you, please read. Now, what do you think she was telling him she messaged him for and to please read? I would imagine that's when she got in touch with him for him to conduct those staged, scripted productions that they call interviews. I'm pretty sure she's the one that reached out to him. And also the text message. Now let's talk about the text messages that Warren released. Remember the one right on the day of Nolan's funeral? Now, mind you, he didn't respond to the last text message that Mrs. Christine Wansley sent him on July the 6th when she was requesting that he get her son's stuff together, whatever Nolan had left over at Jackson's house where they all spent the night, or Jackson's grandfather's house to be more clearly incorrect. But he didn't respond to that. He didn't think that was important, clearly. But all of a sudden, on the day of the funeral, there comes a text. Oh, I'm so sorry. Nolan was my best friend. He was like a brother. And I'm so grateful that he had parents like you two, the greatest parents ever. But now you're talking trash about her on the Rage Batum Tatum show. And in fact, I actually think that Judge Ashley Cole's the one who sent that message for him. I absolutely do. And here's another thing. Remember, I showed you all the text message that she herself sent to Mrs. Wansley? Let's look at that text message again, because I just realized something last night when I was doing my research. Now, look at this. I want you to pay attention. Now, when did she send this? She sent this July the 7th at 8:59 p.m. Christine, this is Ashley Cole. If or when you ever want to talk to me, this is my number. Now, that sounds so cold and disrespectful and so, with such a lack of empathy, seeing as how this woman just found out the previous day that her son, her beloved son, was found dead after going out with Ashley Cole's son and others. So she didn't say, hey, Christine, I'm so sorry about your loss. We loved Nolan. And we're praying for your family during your time of grief. We're so sorry this has happened to you. I can't imagine what you must be going through. She didn't say any of those things, but yet she wants us to think, and Warren and all the rest of them want us to think that they loved Nolan. She didn't even offer condolences. She sent this the day after, but they want us to think that they got up and got on boats and went out there to Horn Island looking for Nolan. Funny thing is, if they did that, why didn't it occur to them before they did it to call over to the Wansleys and say, listen, we're going out there to look for Nolan. Do y'all need to ride with us? We know you may not have a boat. Or just to offer their condolences, but they did none of that. But hold on, because here's the kicker to the whole story. Christine Wansley is very calculated and methodical with what she does. I sat back and I started thinking about all the moves that she's made from the beginning when she put out that statement to try to clear Warren, trying to make people be convinced that he had nothing to do with it. But you know what? I think that Warren's the main one who had something to do with it. I'm starting to think that maybe it wasn't Bart after all. Now, y'all can still think it was Bart, but I'm telling you, I'm thinking that Warren is the most likely suspect, in my opinion. He's not a suspect to the police, mind you. None of them are. But in my eyes, I think he might be the guilty one. Because at the end of the day, look at how he's looking. Look at all the lies he's telling. Bart's not saying anything. The only thing Bart said is don't be out here lying on his name or he's going to sue. He's not out here doing the most, but Warren is. Warren's doing the most, and so is Warren's stepmother, Mrs. Judge Ashley Cole. Now, hold on. Not only did she send this to Christine, now what I want you to do is I want you to pay attention to the time, July the 7th at 8:59 p.m. Now, why is that important, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur? I'm about to show you, but I want you to remember that you heard it here first. Now, look at this. You see what else she did? I was on her Facebook page weeks ago, probably a month ago. But remember, because I showed you all the stuff she posted about the threats and all that, trying to make it sound like it was all so sad and she was so worried about her children and all of this. And she said she was going to stay out of the media, but then hop right back in it with Tatum, and the New York Post or Times. Here's the thing. Right here is the post that I read that she also posted July the 7th, the same day that she sent that message to Nolan's mother. But hold on. She sent that message July the 7th at 8:59 p.m. And guess what? WLOX reported Tuesday at 9:15 p.m. Warren Hudson's stepmother, Ashley Cole, made a Facebook post saying that her family is grieving with Nolan's family and that she wanted to make a post to dispel some rumors with facts. That's why she sent Mrs. Wansley the text message. She literally sent that text message 15 minutes, 16 to be exact. But she sent that text message less than 20 minutes before she posted on social media on her Facebook. That was all for optics. That's all she did that for. It was for the optics of it all. So she can go on Facebook, make a post, and lie and say, oh, we're grieving with the Nolan Wells family. And I just wanted to get on here and make a post to dispel rumors with facts. What facts did she present other than to say that she was grieving with them and we loved Nolan dearly? Is that why Jax said that? We loved him dearly. Is that why Jax said that on Officer Rage Batum Tatum's platform? Yeah, that's why he said it. Because I told you all, when he said it, he started to laugh. You could see the smile on his face. He started moving his tongue around his mouth to try to stop himself from bursting out into laughter. Warren got visibly upset, started shaking his head. He looked so annoyed. Why? Because he knew he's just copying what my mother said. And we know that people of their age don't talk that way. That's what an older person would say, an adult. I mean, they're adults, but they're young adults. And I told you all that when he said it. I said, they don't even talk like that. Okay, doing the most. And then conveniently sent that text to Mrs. Wansley less than 20 minutes before she made a post on social media. I'm so glad the WLOX posted the time because I hadn't even thought about that when I first saw that post. But hold on. Another thing is these ties to Governor Reeves. Governor racist Tate Reeves. And yes, I'm calling him racist. Anybody who's standing in front of that big flag right there giving a speech with all these little miniature flags in front of them, anybody who ever wore blackface and wanted to dress up like the Klan and Confederates, you're racist. That's just what it is. And don't tell me you've changed, because clearly you haven't, because this right here was about 2013. And let's not forget, he has that Confederate heritage holiday that he signed in down there in Mississippi. I believe it's sometime in April, if I'm not mistaken. But nonetheless, I find it interesting that Mr. Tate Reeves had so much to say about Ben Crump and Al Sharpton, talking about he wants to run them out of Mississippi, talking about they're making it into a race issue, talking about they're causing a divide. I would like to know how the man who wore blackface and probably still does, probably has a whole Klan outfit somewhere in his basement or closet for safekeeping. But I would like to know how this man right here, who's clearly racist, and y'all know it, okay, can't beat me in a defamation suit with that, because that's what he is. Okay, it's seeping through his pores. But I'd like to know how he thinks that he can call or say anything about race relations negatively against any Black person, let alone a civil rights attorney who's out there seeking compensation for for the family of the victim. I want y'all to pay attention. But oh, that's even not the end of it. That's not even the end of it. Let me just tell y'all something about Miss Ashley Cole. You see, Judge Ashley Cole is tied to some very prominent and powerful, prestigious people down there in Ocean Springs. I mean, these people literally, you might as well say they run Ocean Springs. Now, technically, they don't because, you know, they got the Sheriff Ledbetter and all of them. But here's the thing. These people have a whole lot of say-so with what goes on down there as it pertains to politics and law enforcement. And that's because of their donations. These are big-time donors. These people are very wealthy and prestigious. And how is Judge Ashley Cole tied to them? Well, I'm so glad you asked. You see, she married into their family before she married Warren's father, Dr. Benjamin Hudson. And in fact, when she was running for judge, she actually used their last name. not her own, and not Dr. Hudson's. And as you can see, she doesn't even really use Dr. Hudson's name now. They call her Judge Ashley Cole, or in some cases, they call her Judge Ashley Treehern. Okay? Those are the prominent rich folk down there in Mississippi that's running everything. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about them for a second, and then let's talk about her and what she has going on with these folks. Lights up, everyone, please like and share. Now, there's a whole lot of information because I did a whole lot of digging. Now, I may not go through all of it, but we're going to go through enough so that you get the gist of what I'm saying. Okay, because like I said, these are prominent members of an extended network, and they're also Ole Miss alumni and graduates. Okay, the university is a major common denominator for the family, functioning as both their alma mater and the primary recipients of their multi-million-dollar philanthropic giving. So they donate to the college. Now, Jan Treehern, that's the family matriarch. Okay, graduated from University of Mississippi, having graduated from the Oxford campus with a degree in elementary education. Career in giving. She used her degree to teach second grade, okay, in public schools for 5 years. Her experience directly inspired the couple to establish the Griffin Family Endowment at the Ole Miss School of Education, which awards scholarships and cash prizes to exceptional student teachers. You know, funny thing is, these rich, powerful people, even though they're nefarious, a lot of them, most of them, in fact, they still will give out charitable donations and all of that. And why do you think that is? For tax write-offs? Yeah, that too. But also to make themselves seem as though they're just good, kind, decent, rich folk, when really 9 times out of 10 they're nothing but devils. Okay, and you can take that to the bank and cash it. But let's continue. Now, with that all being said, let's talk about the daughters. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Now, Ed and Jan's daughters, including Courtney and Kimberly, grew up deeply embedded in the university culture. One of their daughters notably served as a high-profile Ole Miss baseball diamond girl during her time on campus. Then you have Ed Treehorn. Okay, now this is the non-alumni mega donor. Interestingly, the billionaire-level developer behind the family fortune, Ed Treehorn, did not actually attend Ole Miss. Okay, he is an alumni, former football captain, and trustee of Mississippi College in Clinton, Mississippi, where he earned a business degree and later received an honorary doctorate or doctor of business administration. However, out of the love for his wife's alma mater and a passion for college sports, Ed adopted Ole Miss as his primary philanthropic focus. Together, he and Jan have poured well over $1 million into Ole Miss athletics, financing the Vault Society, the indoor practice facility, and the basketball hospitality spaces and baseball coaching. Now, that all being said, let me skip past some of this. This basically talks about their children, how many children they have, and all of that. Now let's get down to here. So, with that all being said, because Judge Cole built her private practice and won her 2022 Chancery Court election under the name Ashley Cole Treehern, her entire professional identity remains tightly bound to that surname in the public mind. Okay, please pay attention. Now, with that all being said, rather than the Treehern family explicitly acting as her protector, okay, or acting in a way to protect her, what critics often point to is the overall insulation of the Gulf Coast elite tier. The prominent figures in the narrative, the Treeherns as massive political donors, Judge Cole as a sitting chancellor, Dr. Hudson as an ER physician, and Sheriff John Ledbetter as head of the local law enforcement. You see, they all operate within the same powerful, tight-knit Just like Trayston said, those are the words he used, same words that Warren used, tight-knit. So all of these people operate within the same powerful, tight-knit, predominantly Republican coastal network. They're all MAGA, is all I'm saying. Now, they had some public controversy that stemmed from the perception of a closed loop where the institutions of wealth, law enforcement, and the judiciary are so deeply intertwined that they naturally appear to protect their own, regardless of whether any literal or active coordination is taking place behind the scenes. Ultimately, when the Treherns have a documented history of aggressively using their legal and financial resources to protect their own commercial and real estate interests, such as their multi-million-dollar RV resort and Front Beach zoning battles, Judge Cole's current crisis is legally and residentially tied to the Hudson family, entirely separate from the Treherne empire. And what are they talking about when they say her current crisis that's legally and residentially tied to the Hudson family? They're talking about the case of Nolan Wells and the fact that she's married to Warren's father. But nonetheless, even though her situation is tied to the Hudson family, it is the Treherns who offer her protection. Please pay attention, because this is her circle. Now, while Mayor Bobby Cox and the Board of Aldermen officially govern the city, the Treherne family represents the sheer weight of private capital that heavily shapes how those politicians make their decisions. So they have political power. Please pay attention. The dynamic of their power in Ocean Springs can be broken down into 3 areas. So let's talk about it. The first one is political leverage over local boards. Rather than sitting on the city council themselves, you see, the Treherns use massive campaign finance contributions to influence municipal and state decision makers. Now, this strategy became highly controversial during their push for the Ocean Springs Islands RV resort. When local homeowners fought the development, the Treherns bypassed neighborhood objections. They successfully leveraged local planning commissions and zoning boards to push through special exemptions, heavily backed by state-level allies like Representative Mike Ezel, who used official government seals to advocate for their projects. Now, this dynamic creates a public perception that while they don't hold the gavel, they often call the shots on major city zoning choices. Now, the next thing is dictating the town's aesthetic and real estate value. Because the family owns high-profile luxury tracts, most notably their multi-million-dollar estate on Front Beach Drive, they wield a level of community influence that regular residents cannot match. For example, they have successfully brought high-powered legal teams into neighborhood tree preservation disputes, directly interfacing with the Ocean Springs Board of Aldermen to influence which historical live oak trees can or cannot be cut down to accommodate new construction. So they just call all the shots. And then they have the economic oligarchy. Now, though the Treherne Charitable Foundation and the Treherne Investments, through the Treherne Charitable Foundation and Treherne Investments, they control a significant portion of the tourism dollars flowing into the local coast. By building elite high-end infrastructure such as luxury RV parks, marinas, and resort-owned airstreams, rather than public use properties, they effectively decide what tier of consumer the city attracts. So who comes and goes? Ultimately, the Treherns don't write Ocean Springs ordinances, but their massive financial footprint means local politicians rarely make a major zoning or real estate or economic decision without considering how it impacts the Treherne empire. And so that all been said, I find it all very interesting. Now, the family's primary real estate and commercial land development corporation is called Treherne Investments. The Treherne Charitable Foundation is an independent Ocean Springs-based 501c3 private foundation that manages hyperlocal community, youth, and religious grant making. The Vault Society or the Ole Miss Athletics, the premier philanthropic athletic tier at the University of Mississippi, where the family has contributed over $1 million. The Griffin Family Endowment, a specialized charitable fund set up at the Ole Miss School of Education to provide scholarships for student teachers. And then the Cole firm, the Cole Law Firm, the private legal practice in Hurley, Mississippi, where Judge Cole practiced family law prior to her judicial election. So it seems like she just may owe her career to these people. Okay, and she serves as chancellor for the 16th Chancery Court District Division 2. Now, I find it all interesting. So let's talk about this gilded canopy, a Gulf Coast power dynamic. On the sun-drenched shores of the Mississippi Gulf Coast, power is quiet, deeply rooted, and fiercely protected. To understand the social and political infrastructure of Jackson County, one must look at the intersection of two distinct forces: the staggering commercial wealth of the Treherne family and the rising judicial career of Chancery Court Judge Ashley Cole. It is a story of strategic alliance, immense financial influence, and a tight-knit coastal network that shapes local law and commerce. Now, the Treherne name is synonymous with the upper echelons of Gulf Coast society, particularly in the affluent enclave of Ocean Springs. While they're not billionaires, they are among the region's most influential high net worth families. Their prominence was forged primarily by Ed Treherne, a visionary real estate mogul who turned coastal land into a massive commercial empire. Operating under family entities like Treherne Investments, the family strictly avoids low-income or government-subsidized markets like Section 8 housing. Instead, they prefer to focus entirely on high-end luxury assets. They have waterfront developments. The family has developed major multi-million-dollar condominium complexes and luxury hospitality properties stretching from the Mississippi coastline into Gulf Shores and Orange Beach, Alabama. They have luxury tourism. They are the driving force behind premium regional concepts, including high-end waterfront RV and marina destinations designed to capture the lucrative luxury travel market. Ed and Jan Treherne reside in a sprawling multi-million-dollar waterfront estate along Front Beach Drive in Ocean Springs, an exclusive strip where the median home price sits well over $1 million. Here, their influence is literal. The family has made local headlines for their fierce civic advocacy to preserve the historic live oak tree canopy that gives Front Beach its iconic architectural heritage. And then enters the judiciary, the rise of Ashley Cole. You see, it was into this ecosystem of wealth and influence that a sharp, ambitious attorney by the name of Ashley Cole entered. Through her marriage into the family, she acquired the name Ashley Cole Treherne, a name that carried immense weight and instant recognition all across Jackson County. And that's likely why she used that name when she ran for the election to become a judge. Building her career in the small community of Hurley, Mississippi, she established the Cole Law Firm, specializing in family law. Her professional talent, combined with the powerful social currency of her married name, paved the way for a successful run for public office. And in 2022, she was elected as a Mississippi Chancery Court judge for District 16-2. A powerful bench covering George, Greene, and Jackson counties. Now, Chancery judges deal with the rawest elements of community life: estates, divorces, property disputes, and family law. The very arenas where local prominence and land ownership often collide. Though she later divorced and remarried Dr. Benjamin Hudson, an emergency room physician, her formative professional years and her election to the judiciary occurred under the Treherne name. Today, while she is most frequently referred to publicly as Judge Ashley Cole, legal registries and voter guides still echo the name that helped define her early career. The Trehernes do not run for office themselves, nor do they spend their fortune on national presidential campaigns like Donald Trump's. Instead, they understand that real actionable power is wielded at the state and municipal levels. You see, the family operates as major financial power brokers within the dominant Mississippi Republican network. putting their immense wealth behind Governor Tate Reeves and his political allies. Now, by funding the broader state Republican infrastructure, the family ensures a business-friendly environment for their massive commercial developments. So they may not be exactly what you would call maggots because they don't donate to Trump, but they donate to all the people who support Trump, such as Governor Tate Reeves. So maggots nonetheless is all I'm saying. Now, their political giving, I'm sure they voted for him. They just may not give him their money. Now, because they know he's already rich. Now, their political giving is highly strategic. Ed Treherne and his developers have been documented as some of the largest contributors to state and local judicial campaigns, including seats tied directly to the coastal zoning boards and courts that regulate their luxury RV resorts and beachfront projects. Now, in the tight-knit world of Mississippi politics, the Trehernes provide the financial fuel and the politicians provide the regulatory runway. When the Trehernes and Judge Cole move in separate professional spheres, or while they move in separate professional spheres, their paths continue to cross within the insular power circles of the Gulf Coast. You see, this reality became starkly visible during high-profile local events, such as the tragic death of 18-year-old Nolan Wells on Horn Island, because Judge Cole's stepson Warren and his brother Carter were tied to the general social environment surrounding the event. Her family and by extension, her deep community ties fell under intense public and digital scrutiny. The crisis highlighted the overlapping circles of coastal leadership. The primary agency investigating the case, the Jackson County Sheriff's Department, is led by Sheriff John Ledbetter. While there is no public record of a personal relationship between the Trehernes and Ledbetter, they are multi-generational fixtures of the exact same part of the Ocean Springs elites. They share the same political alignment, support the same Republican infrastructure under Governor Tate Reeves, and sit at the top of the county's social hierarchy. Ultimately, the narrative of the Trehernes and Judge Ashley Cole is a case study in Southern influence. Though through Trehernes' investments and their private foundation, the family dictates the physical and charitable landscape of Ocean Springs. Through campaign donations, they help fortify the political walls of Governor Tate Reeves and state infrastructure. And through her seat on the Chancery Court bench, Judge Cole represents the legal framework of that very same community, bound by history, as well as name and shared geography. They remain the architects of power on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Okay, so y'all heard that? Y'all heard that? This is absolutely who's running the show as it pertains to this cover-up, in my opinion. Okay? In my opinion, views, opinions, allegations, and accusations expressed by guests, third parties, or commenters are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show, any of my other affiliate channels or platforms on social media. Content is presented for commentary, discussion, reporting, and educational purposes. Discussion of an allegation does not mean the allegation is true or endorsed by this channel. All persons are presumed innocent unless proven guilty in a court of law. I just find it very interesting. Now, Ryan says, explain the text messages. Why did Christine lie about not knowing the boys? And why did Warren do all the contacting to the parents and all the authorities? Well, I'm so glad you asked. Let's talk about it. First of all, when did she lie? Who told you she lied? She said she doesn't know them. Now, because she said she doesn't know them, maybe you think that knowing their name and what they look like means she knows them. Maybe that's what you're thinking. I don't think she lied at all. She said she knew Jax. She said she knew Javon and Jalen. If she said she doesn't know Trayson and Warren, I believe her. Okay, clearly they were irrelevant to her. And also keep in mind that Warren did say that, in fact, he never went to their home. And that the last time he remembered being around Nolan's father was when they were in the 8th grade at the Waffle House. So, yeah, I don't think she knew him. Okay. And here's the thing. I'm so glad you asked, why was he the one calling? That's a good question. Because you know what, beloved? I was going to ask the same thing. Because last night when I was doing my research, I asked myself, now, if Warren didn't really know the Wansleys like that, hadn't seen the dad since 8th grade, hadn't ever been to their house to hang out, said why Nolan was always coming to their house, I said, why in the hell did he take it upon himself to call Mrs. Christine Wansley if he didn't even really know her, didn't talk to her, wasn't frequently a guest at her house? That's what he said. That's what he said. So if he wasn't a guest at her house and she said she doesn't know him, why would he feel that he needed to be the one to call her? Well, I'm so glad you asked, because he wanted to make it look as though he was trying to be helpful, when all the while he was actually sabotaging the search and the investigation. That's what he was doing. Okay, and how do we know that? It's because didn't they tell Mrs. Wansley that Nolan had on black shorts? Didn't they lie and tell the police at 1 something in the morning that Nolan was with some unknown woman? They didn't know who she was. But funny thing is, they called her later on that night when they claimed they were concerned about where Nolan was. But were they really concerned about where Nolan was, to the point that they started calling around asking people, hey, have you guys talked to Nolan? How in the hell did anybody talk to Nolan when they had his phone? And if Nolan had called or wanted to reach out to anybody, it would have been them. So he could get his damn phone back and get his keys and his car and the rest of his stuff that was at Jack's grandfather's house, no less. So I hope that answered your question. All right. Anything else? Now, that all being said, and why were the police all going to the judge's house? Well, that's a good question. Here's the thing. I have heard for weeks now, and I never bothered to report on this because I quite frankly didn't believe it, because the article that it was written in didn't have a title to the article. Like, it didn't say whether it was from the New York Times or from People, AP. It just didn't say anything. But there was an article that I saw some people sharing about. The first time I think I saw it was July the 23rd. And now that article's come back up. And in that article, they say that Judge Ashley Cole was caught on audio trying to bribe police officers with $100,000 to basically cover up Nolan's death, or to rule it as an accidental drowning or something or the other. Here's the thing. I don't really believe that. I mean, I wouldn't put it past her, don't get me wrong. But I don't believe that, because here's my question. If that were true, and I don't think it is, but if that were in fact true, well, who told on her? Who turned in the audio? Which one of the police officers snitched? Yeah, I don't think anyone would have snitched, especially knowing who she's connected to, the Treherns. Okay? And they have a whole lot of power and a whole lot of influence. So I don't think she bribed anyone with anything. And also, I don't think she would necessarily have had to bribe them. She's a judge. She works in tandem with the police on a regular, as well as the DA, as well as Sheriff Ledbetter. Okay, so I don't think anybody needs to be bribing anybody down there in Ocean Springs. All they have to do is say, listen, you owe me one, so I'm gonna need you to do this, because they all owe each other one, because they're so tight knit. Like I told you all, they have the little the phrase, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. And I'm not going to say that they don't give each other money, like palms don't get greased. But what I'm saying is, I don't think she would have had to bribe the police to cover this up. I think the police would do it for free. Just like I think they're doing it for free right now. Okay? It's called being uncode. And that's what most racist devils do. And I think they're all racist. Now, I can't prove it. Or maybe I can. But I haven't proven it yet. But I do believe that they're all extremely racist. That's just my opinion. Okay? That's just my opinion. Now, also, I want to say there was a clip that I had been looking for. There was a clip that I had been looking for when me and Rupert were up here talking about Javon. And so I stumbled across it completely by accident. Okay? Let's listen to this, because if you remember, me and Rupert were talking about the timeline and how things weren't adding up and the math wasn't mathing. And then Rupert brought up the fact that Javon in an interview said something about 3:40 and 4 o'clock and having to go help his friend who was involved in a fight, coming back about 15 to 20 minutes later and the boat being gone. And so I have been looking for that clip. I don't want to watch Rage Badham Tatum's interviews all over again. It was torturous enough the first time. Even when we have to go through it to sift through the fine points and parts or whatever, that's torturous enough. But to have to literally watch the whole thing until I get to the part that I'm looking for, I just didn't want to do that. But luckily, like I said, when I wasn't even looking, I found it. So let's take a listen.
Catch this.
I want to say around 3:40, 4 o'clock, an altercation had happened between one of my other friends, and checked on him for about 20 minutes, 20 to 15 minutes. I came back, Nolan's boat and the people that he was with were gone.
Last time I personally laid eyes on Nolan was at like 3 o'clock, and he was, front of the boat with the girl.
From the first report, this entire investigation has been based upon the timeline that was given to us by Warren and his friends, and then was stamped and sealed by Judge Ashley Cole. But as we've all seen, those timelines have never worked. That's why they're so confusing, because those timelines were just trails to lead to their version of the truth. But after a month later and a lot of talking, there are more pieces to the puzzle, revealing a pivotal 30-minute window when Nolan disappears. This timeline is built upon reports given to us before Nolan was found, and also through all the interviews from Nolan's so-called friends. The major events are pre-fight, then the fight 1 and 2, leaving the island, and then when most of the young people have gone and left the island. This is key because multiple reports the day after Nolan went missing say that most of the young people left the island by 5:45. The two anchors for this report are Javon's report, which happened around the time when Nolan was missing. That's why I'm using it. And then the screenshot, that famous viral video that we heard of that time of 4:01 after the second fight.
I want to say around 3:40, 4 o'clock, an altercation had happened between one of my other friends. I went and checked on him for about 20 minutes.
He leaves Nolan to go see about the first fight. The first fight happens from your boy Tristan, when a white person comes and tries to police him about how he's talking to his white girlfriend. Shortly after, Carter, who is Warren's little brother, continues the fight closer towards the beach. And in that viral video, if you see the height of the individuals, they look a little bit shorter. And then this screenshot says that that video was taken after the second fight around 4:01.
4:01. And mind you, don't forget that Carter was supposedly defending Tristan when he got into that fight, according to Tristan's own words.
Tristan says that Nolan allegedly was not in the fight, but that he was out of frame in that video, which means he's still there. And from Warren, I think Nolan is still in the water by the boats. Warren puts the sequence of fight, second fight, and then him going to see the issues with the boat. There is no way that the last time that he saw Nolan was at 3 p.m. because this is now 4 o'clock.
So you get ready to go.
So busted in yet another lie. Okay, I want you all to pay attention.
There's an issue with the boat.
Okay, yeah.
And this is
Well,
what
yeah, this
ended
led up to that. That's what I was saying.
So
Okay.
the fight happened with your brother, or a little scuffle.
We're getting closer to that 4:30 p.m. departure time from the GPS, but that doesn't mean that that's when they try to start leaving the island.
I came back, Nolan's boat and the people that he was with were gone.
To me, this is the infamous moment where Warren claims that they said for Nolan to get on the boat, but then Katie says that she thought he left with them.
Nolan was sitting by the boat with that Katie girl, and my buddy yelled for Nolan, get on the boat. We're leaving. The boat's having issues. And no, he didn't say that, but he was panicking.
The thing about the two boats that I said, there were two boats tied up. So therefore, I didn't know which boat Nolan exactly was on because they were both tied up.
This is key. Javon says the boats, plural, are gone, and then Nolan was gone. This is so important. Tristan leaves the island in his boat. But then also all 3 boats that came to the island leave around the same time. Warren said the Palm Beach had left, the Triton that we know about, and then the Tide Line is Bart's boat. Here's why I think we should rule out option 1 that Nolan stayed behind. Because 1, Katie was still right there. Javon, his real best friend, was still there, and even his coach was there around 3:30. So how does he not see any of those people? So in my opinion, he either leaves in a boat, the timeline kind of pushes him to that type of decision, or he's still in the water when there are boats moving around and these kids are intoxicated or possibly caught in another fight that carries on after the second one, and then multiple boats leave. Did y'all catch this?
Okay. That makes a whole lot of sense because as far as I'm concerned, now remember, the CETO call was around 4 o'clock and they were on the call for approximately 8 minutes and 50 seconds. Now, like we told you all last night, Javon said it was around 3:40. He went to go check on his friend for about 20 minutes, and when he came back, Nolan and his friends on the boats were gone. So that sounds exactly right. That sounds exactly right. And also, it lets us know that Jax was the one during the Rage Batum Tatum interview that told the truth about how far they were from the shore. Warren tried to make it seem as though they were closer, to make it seem as though that if anyone did anything to Nolan on the boat, then other people would have seen, but no one would have seen because they were farther out. Okay? They were farther out, so nobody would have seen them. And how do we know that? Because Javon didn't see them. Javon said they were gone. So they were not close to the shoreline. Clearly, they were not in the shallow water because he would have seen them. Now, Hipster says, isn't it funny? Not one of the boys mentioned in any interview that Trayson said, give me my effing phone. Yet it changed to everyone heard a friend ask Nolan, get on the effing boat. The cover is up. Okay, good point, beloved. Good point. Because Trayson did say that was him that said, give me the phone. Didn't he say that in that first interview where he only had his audio but didn't show his face? He already took the blame for that. But they sure didn't say anything about it in Rage Batum Tatum's interview. Thank you for your insight into the topic and your contribution, beloved. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay. Now, with that all being said, let's continue. Because this old man right here, he was trying to be sarcastic, but he really sounds like he just told us exactly what the hell happened. He's sitting up here trying to be sarcastic, but if you ask me, it sounds like he just dropped a whole dime. So let's listen to him. He's clearly racist and clearly being facetious, okay, and all of the above, but let's get into it.
Good morning, Tickers. How y'all doing this morning? Well, I didn't come on yesterday after the big, beautiful bill passed because I literally sat here and read it.
Hold on. I think I just might have the wrong one of his videos. So I don't remember him talking about no big, beautiful bill, but hold on. What he was talking about is what happened. Oh, here he is right here. Hold on, beloveds. All right, here he is. Let me just take this on down. I hate when I get my receipts confused. But this is him. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. Here we go.
everybody. How y'all doing this morning? Let's talk about the Nolan Wells thing for a second. I was on a live last night, and this is the honest to God's truth. And I'm going to even post in the hashtags where you can go find and listen to it. So here's what happened. They killed Nolan Wells on the boat. They covered him up with the life jackets. They all knew he was on the boat. They just laid him on the back of the boat and got towed in part of the way. Then they got their boat running and they got on in. And when they got in, they couldn't figure out where they were going to put him or what they were going to do. So they dropped everybody off. Then they went back out to the island that the GPS doesn't show, but they did because they disconnected it. Okay. And none of them had their phones with them when they went back. So there wasn't any trace of them going back. And they dumped the body. They came back, took the boat out of the water, then went over there at 3 a.m. and washed the boat, thinking washing the boat would get all the DNA and everything off the boat. That's what they did. Now, I'm telling you, the stories are unbelievable at this point. You can't make this up.
I want you all to pay attention. Now, that old fart, that's clearly what he is, okay? He's sitting there acting like the stories that he's heard, the scenarios, the theories, or whatever, sound crazy. But what really sounds crazy, sir, grandpa, okay, if you will, what really sounds crazy are the stories that they're telling. They sound crazy. Okay, that's what they sound. They sound crazy. They look crazy and sound crazy. Their stories sound ridiculous. This is the worst cover up in the history of cover ups, in my humble opinion. Okay? In my humble opinion. Now, mind you, it's not just the boys that sound crazy, but it's also the attorneys sounding crazy, sitting up there and lying on Nancy Grace, talking about, oh, the picture or the video was timestamped July the 4th at 4:31. Yeah, right. It wasn't. Second of all, when the other bald-headed one that used to be Trump's attorney, Edward, when he sat up there and said, oh, if you haven't been to the island, you don't have any authority to speak. You've got to go to the island. And that way you can see that nothing, these boys could not possibly have done anything to Nolan on that island. He sounds crazy, but you know why he keeps saying that and emphasizing that? It's because he knows that they didn't do anything to Nolan on the island. He knows exactly where it was done. I promise you that. Let me just say, in my opinion, allegedly. I don't know if they did anything, but if they did, I bet you he knows it. That's all I'm saying. And I bet you that if anybody did do something to Nolan and he knows who did it, I'm pretty sure that he would know that the person, if anyone did something, was probably Warren. Okay? That's just my opinion. Now, I'm not saying Warren did anything. I'm just saying that I absolutely think Warren did something to Nolan. And I think that Warren's attorney knows that he did something to Nolan. Okay. And that's why he was trying to be so adamant. That's why they're doing all this extra stuff that's just so cringeworthy. I mean, going out to Horn Island and putting up a wreath and candles, really? But y'all didn't even have the decency to reach out to the family and offer your condolences. So we're supposed to take you seriously when you take a wreath and candles out there that nobody's going to see. Nolan's not out there. Cut it out. Nolan didn't die out there on Horn Island. Okay. You probably should have put the wreath and the candles on one of those boats. Now, I don't know which boat, but clearly one of them, in my opinion. Okay, B-182, because I think something happened on one of the boats, and then it could have been finished on another. I don't know. But what I do know is that I absolutely think something happened on one of those boats. I mean, we all saw something moving on the floor, did we not? Now, B182 says they made the tow call at 4 p.m., left at 4:31. Warren's mom was supposed to be in the island for 5 to 10 minutes. Yet Warren called his mom 8 times. Well, here's the thing about that, beloved. And that's a good point. And thank you for it and your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Here's the thing that I'm thinking, beloved. Because first when Warren made that statement that he called his mom 8 times, I said to myself, now, which mom is he talking about here? Is he talking about his real mom, Katie Hudson? Is he talking about her? Because she did place herself on the island for about 10 minutes. She said she went to take a picture. I also think that she may have dropped off Carter. But nonetheless, she placed herself there. So I thought maybe he's talking about her. But then when you listen to the audio and you hear someone say with authority, I'm speaking. And then we see, as Jay Megan pointed out, someone in that swimsuit that no one, not a young person would wear, I wouldn't think. Yeah, it seemed like that was probably good old Judge Ashley Cole. I think good old Judge Ashley Cole was there, and I'm gonna tell you something. I always thought she was there in the beginning because I remember when she came out with those statements, and she said in one of them specifically, and I told you all about it. I said, doesn't it sound suspicious? When she said, me nor my husband were ever there on Horn Island at any point on the 4th of July, which made me think that you and your husband absolutely were there, or at least one of you was on the 4th of July, because why would you bring that up? If nobody said it, see, pay attention, because when people are trying to evade responsibility, culpability, and I'm not saying that any of these people are, I'm just speaking in general. When people try to evade responsibility and act as though there's nothing to see here, folks, and they didn't do a darn thing, they'll usually end up overcompensating. Hence, telling on themselves inadvertently, because they make themselves look a whole lot more suspicious when they start doing too much talking, because nobody asked her. Specifically, that's when they start looking suspect, is when they answer questions or give information that no one even required or asked about. No one asked her if she had been on the island or if her husband had been on the island. So why did she volunteer that information? She was trying to absolve herself of any responsibility or wrongdoing. I believe that not only was she on the island, I believe that she was on that boat where we saw somebody scrambling around on the floor, as Jack said, to put it lightly. And also, I do believe that she was likely the one passing out beers that Jay Megan showed in her clip. I absolutely do. Now, I could be wrong, but then again, pay attention. I could also be absolutely right. So I just find it all interesting. Like I said, the bottom line is they did all of this just to set the stage. Okay, that's what they did. Now, we know that's what the judge did, surely, because how did she just conveniently, coincidentally send a message to Mrs. Christine Wansley, and then only 15 minutes later, she's posting on social media talking about her condolences and how they're praying and grieving with the family. If you're grieving with the family, aren't you supposed to be somewhere near the family, like maybe, at their house, at least on the phone with them, letting them know how you feel? She didn't do any of that. Who even sends a text that starts off like that to a parent that just lost their child? Who even does that? That makes no sense at all. Let's look at it again. Like, sub, everyone, please like and share. Hold on, let me remove this comment for just a second. Christine, this is Ashley Cole. If or when you ever want to talk to me, this is my number. First of all, did she ask for your number? And I also want you to pay attention to the fact that that was strategic, because like I said, she did that right before she sent that post or posted that comment on social media. But also, it was strategic of her because she knows darn well she doesn't talk to Miss Wansley. She does not. Now, they tried to make something out of it, Rage Batum Tatum, when he's sitting there saying, oh, they went to high school together. So what? There's people that I went to high school with that I don't know. If I saw them right now, I wouldn't know them. If I'd seen them a year after high school, I wouldn't have known them because they were nobodies to me. I didn't deal with them and they didn't deal with me, so I don't know them. Just because you went to high school, just because my picture might be beside yours in a yearbook, what does that even mean? Nothing. But they tried to make it seem like something, to try to act as though Miss Christine Wansley was lying when she acted as though or said that she didn't know them. Well, she doesn't know them. She may know of them, but that's different than knowing them, period. But she could have actually gotten Warren, who'd already been in communication with her, supposedly, right? She could have gotten Warren to give that message. Here's my mom's number. She said, if you ever want to talk, here it is. Why did she get Warren to just do it? Since he was already in communications. And of course, she knew that he was in communications because she's the one who told him to communicate, to make it look good, to make it look as though he's trying to help. So later, when it comes back around, if anybody's pointing a finger and looking at him, he can say, hey, wait a minute, I was the first one that called Ms. Wonsley. I was the one who notified the Coast Guard. That's what he could say. She's the one that told him to do that, in my opinion. She's the one who told him what to say in the text messages. She's also the one who probably told him not to respond back after Mrs. Wonsley requested that they get Nolan's things, his belongings, okay, after he was found dead on July the 6th, the same day he was found dead, and he didn't return Miss Wonsley's phone call or text. But we're supposed to think he was so concerned. And like I brought up to you last night, he texted her 2 weeks later, on the day of Nolan's funeral. On the day of Nolan's funeral, that's when he texted her. He knew darn well she wasn't going to see that text. And if she did, he knew she wasn't going to respond to it because why? He wanted to make it seem as though, oh, I wanted to go to the funeral. I'm so distraught. Nolan was like a brother to me. Also, let's not forget how Jax, and I believe Jax was telling the truth when he said this, but I want you all to pay attention to the fact that Jax, when Nolan's father came to the house for the keys and car, and Jax came outside, Jax said, Nolan was, past tense, Nolan was like a brother to me. I believe that maybe he was, as far as Jax was concerned. But also it's important to note that Jax spoke of him in past tense. So Jax knew that Nolan was dead. And that's undeniable. And that's not alleged. That's what Jax said out of his own mouth. He was like a brother to me. So you just let us know that you knew he was dead. Okay? Jax is low-key snitching on them. I just want you all to pay attention. Okay? He's been doing it from day one, as far as I'm concerned. Oh, don't worry about the trolls. Please just ignore them. Okay? Stop giving them the attention that they clearly want. All you all do is feed into it. Nobody cares about trolls. Okay, the trolls are here because they want to listen and learn. Now, they may act like they don't like what the queen is saying, but they know exactly what I'm saying is absolutely true. They know this, and they're just upset about it because, it's just in their nature to want to defend their own, especially when it has something to do with one of us. And so they get a little butthurt and bent out of shape, but at the same time that they're upset, they know that I'm telling the gospel truth. They know it. I mean, anyone with sense would know that the boys are lying, that they've said inconsistent statements, that they've been telling on themselves, making themselves look foolish. They already know this. They know they likely lied about the coordinates, as I told you all last night. I don't even think they were on Horn Island when they made that call to Cito. I don't think they were. Okay, I don't think they were. And also the question remains, why did they go back to Fort Bayou twice? Did they go back so Bart could switch boats? Because did they ask Bart to take Nolan's body and put it in his boat? I'm just asking. I'm not saying this is what they did. I just have questions. Now, does anyone think possibly, put a 1 in the chat. Let's see if we can all figure this out together, beloveds. Okay, let's see if we can all figure this out together. Now, hey, Rupert. Rupert says, Javon stated his words less than a week after Nolan's death. It was fresh on his mind. Exactly, beloved. Exactly. Okay. Thank you for your insight into the topic and your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Now that makes all the sense. Okay. That makes all the sense. Now, with that all being said, here's the thing. They've already exposed themselves. They've already said far too much. And at the end of the day, the fact that no one has been arrested lets us know that they don't plan to arrest them. The fact that their lawyers can sit there and comfortably let them do these terrible productions that they want us to think are interviews is absolutely egregious. But it also lets me know that the lawyers are concerned, or not concerned, but the lawyers are pretty much assured. They seem to have some level of assurance that nothing's going to happen to them. but I don't think that they're going to get off as easy as they would like. Okay, I think that absolutely someone's going to get arrested. Here's why. You see, too much has come out, and there's too much of a spotlight being shown on Ocean Springs right now at this moment. So something's going to have to go down. Somebody is going to have to get arrested. Okay, they can't just say, oh, nothing to see here, folks. They can't just think that we're going to go for the old BS banana in the tailpipe. Oh, it was an accidental drowning, because if it was just an accidental drowning, this investigation would have been over a long time ago. Don't y'all get it? I mean, they already have the autopsy report. They already have the autopsy report, right? So with that all being said, and the toxicology report, so they already know what happened. So what are they talking about? They're still investigating. You're only still investigating if you know you're going to have to put charges on somebody. That's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to arrest somebody. And guess what? The people that they're going to arrest, they probably already know it's going to be them. They probably already know it's going to be them. And here's the thing. They're probably already trying to set the stage for how they're going to determine the jurors. They want an all-white jury. They want an all-white jury with a few young people, but more so middle-aged to older people, because those are usually the most racist, and they know it, especially down there in Mississippi. Okay, that's what they want. They want the good old racists to come and be on the jury so they can be found innocent. You see, I want you all to pay attention, because the lawyers are pretty smart. I mean, I know they look stupid and sound stupid at times, but here's the thing about these lawyers. What they've been doing by having these stage productions that they want us to think are interviews, this was all for them to set up reasonable doubt. That's all it is. It's reasonable doubt. You see, that's why they had Trayston come out and say that he was the one saying, give me my effing phone. Hold on, beloveds. Okay, sorry for the interruption, beloveds. Now, that all being said, jury tampering by flooding with lies in their perspectives. Exactly. They want to get the perfect jury in there. Okay, they're already setting the stages for reasonable doubt. That's what they've been doing thus far. Okay, Rupert says, Grandpa had enough power to sell Ceto, Captain. Okay, I'll give you a call back if I need you. And told the police, I give you permission to look at my boat for 4 days after the fact. Privilege. Exactly. That's the epitome of privilege. Because why in the world did the police need him to give them permission? Why didn't they just go there with warrants and say, look, we're here to search your boat? Okay, we're here to search your boat. Now back up. But no, they called him and asked him all nice and sweet, hey, listen, we got to make this look good. We don't want these folks to know it's a cover-up. We need to make it look as good as possible. So listen, we're going to come and search your boat. We need to, just so we can say that we searched it. You know, we're not going to bring the cadaver dogs or anything, but is it okay if we come? Oh, yeah, you can come search the boat. Feel free to take whatever is on there that you need for the investigation. Meanwhile, making sure ain't a damn thing on there. Okay, please pay attention. It's exactly what went down, in my opinion. Rupert, thank you for your insight, beloved. I appreciate you and your contribution to the channel. Okay, that's right. Gemini Queen said it's multiple crimes going on. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, let's talk about it. You got underage drinking, contributing to the delinquency of minors. Now, we don't know which one of the adults did it, but clearly the adults did it, okay? And then you have tampering with evidence. Then you have BUI, boating under the influence, because Warren already told us that we're boating under the influence. He said we were all drinking. Nolan was drinking. We all were. So if we all were, Warren, who was driving or who was in charge of Wyatt's boat? Or shall I say his grandfather's boat? Was Wyatt the one at the wheel? Because he was clearly drinking. We heard it in his voice when he was talking to Cito. He sounded like he was definitely inebriated. Okay? Definitely sounded like it. So please pay attention. These people are something else. Now, with that all being said, let's go to this clip here where this lady's talking about the text messages.
For those who are looking for clarification on what was said by Christine and Warren and how the stories may or may not have changed over time, I have gone back and listened to all of the interviews I could find from both of them, as well as interviews with Tashima as well. On July 4th at 11:09 p.m., Warren calls Christine and at that time tells her that the phone is in Wyatt's truck. July 4th, 11:15 p.m., Warren shares that the keys are at Jax's house via a text to Christine. You can see these texts on Plunder Studios' post on Facebook. On July 4th, 11:49 p.m., Christine states to MDMR that Warren has stated the phone was in a friend's truck. On July 4th at 11:55 p.m., Christine makes a Facebook post and several comments regarding the fact that she has spoken to Warren. And one of the comments includes that Warren had notified her of the phone being with them. On July 10th, on a Good Morning America interview, Crump makes the statement that Christine located the phone via Life 360. He mentions nothing about the information coming from Warren.
And here's the thing. Now, because they didn't mention that initially, you know, the maggot crew wants to try to imply that Mrs. Wonsley lied. She didn't lie. She absolutely didn't lie. She was tracking the phone. It did show that it was on land. And she did send Tashima to get it. Like when you're telling people, you know, a story or you're giving them information, you don't have to give them every detail. You give them the meat and potatoes of it so they get the gist of it. Why was it so important for her to say, oh, and by the way, Warren is the one who told me they had the phone? It doesn't matter if he told her or not. They had to go and get the damn phone because nobody brought it to them. And in fact, Warren didn't even tell her about it until he realized that she was tracking it. Okay? So miss me with it. That's all I'm saying.
Also on July 10th in the same interview, Christine states that she used Life 360 to find the phone. She does not mention Warren's call. She does not mention any messages. And she stated that she called Tashima at this time and Tashima used Snapchat to locate the phone. On July 15th, on a CNN interview, Tashima gives her account about using the boys' Snapchat to locate them. Christine also restates her own account, still leaving Warren out. It may also be noted here that Christine previously stated in an interview that Javon and Jalen were with Tashima at the time, but Tashima does clarify that they were at other locations. On July 17th, on a CBS interview, Christine acknowledges a call from Warren, but does not mention that he told her where the phone was. She only mentions Life 360 and Tashima using Snapchat.
That is not true. That is not true. She did mention that Warren told her he had the phone. You all should know that because I showed you the video. That's the first time that I realized that Warren wasn't lying. Because initially when Warren said, I'm the one that told her we had his phone, I didn't believe him. I didn't believe him, but she confirmed it. She literally said when she was talking to the NABJ, I believe it was, she said, he told me, she said, I was tracking him on Life 360. And I said, it shows he's on dry land. And then that's when Warren said, oh, we have his phone. So she did confirm what Warren said.
We now know through other posts and snap screenshots that Tashima could not have seen him on land at this point, because even at 1 a.m., it was still showing him at the same location in the water as 13 hours prior. On ABC News, Christine again says Tashima located the phone via Snapchat because Christine's Life 360 showed him on land and Snapchat still showed water. This is the interview where she states the phone and the car were at separate locations, which we were in later is not the case. The confusion here might have stemmed from the fact that Tashima had already left Jax's house, gone to Wyatt's house to look at the boat, and then later returned to Jax's house to meet up with Christine and Elmore to get the keys. Christine might not have realized that Tashima had already been to this home to get the phone. On July 21st, in the Tatum interview, Warren clarifies he called Christine. First, he was not answered. The second time she did answer, he then called the Coast Guard and called her a third time after the Coast Guard call. He clarifies he did tell her that they had the phone on the initial call. To this point, Warren's statement has remained the same. He did add additional information that he called Christine on multiple occasions. On August 3rd,
Well, here's the thing. If he added additional information, then his statement didn't stay the same. Okay, please pay attention. If you add something to it, it's not the same any longer. Let's continue.
13th, another interview is released. This was done live on the Black Caucus trip. Christine states that Warren did call her twice. She says she told him Live 360 showed Nolan on land, and Warren told her they had the phone in Wyatt's truck, that no one had left it on the boat. So here you see Christine's story finally aligns with what Warren has been stating from day one.
I like how she tried to frame that as if Warren was the one telling the truth all along, because clearly he was the one lying, okay? He was lying. That's what he was doing. I'm not going to say he didn't tell a word of truth, because clearly he told some truths, but absolutely he was lying at the same time, okay? Trying to act as though he's helping while all the while trying to sabotage the investigation and the search. And that's just my opinion. Now, Rupert says want to search all of his boats and his house. Exactly what I was thinking. Exactly what I was thinking, okay? Because they definitely should have come with warrants to search all of the boats. How can they be sure which boat that they were even on? How could they not know that maybe they brought one of the boats back and left with another? Because why were they in Fort Bayou twice? I still have questions. And all of those cameras that Crocs on ground, all those cameras that she's pointed out and shown us, they have got to have captured something. Some of those cameras had to have captured something. They even have flock cameras out there. Okay, where's the footage? Clearly there has to be some somewhere, but I guess they covered that all up too. Just in my opinion. So with that all being said, I'm about to conclude this broadcast, but hold on. This is the 15-year-old I was telling you all about. This is so sad. And while you all look at this, let me look for some updates for Carmelo, because Carmelo was supposed to go to court today, okay, to see if he was going to be able to get a new trial, and I pray that he does.
They are going to start having to give answers quickly, because this shit don't make sense. This is Chloe McDonald, 15 years old. She was found deceased with a gunshot wound to the head along a walking trail at Jackson Park in Jackson, Mississippi. Police say that Chloe was reported missing on July 18, 2026. Her body was found 2 days later. Now, the family is still searching for answers, and they say that there should have been better communication from investigators with the family. Now, Chloe's mother, Nicomia Quinn, said that she spent days searching for Chloe, and she provided her contact information to investigators numerous times, but nobody called to tell her that the unidentified girl could potentially be her missing daughter, Chloe. Now, in the following days, the detective showed up to her house to collect DNA, but she was told not to panic, that it was precautionary. They never really said that they found a girl on the trail. Chloe's family was notified 16 days after she was reported missing and 14 days after her body was discovered. Now, remember, I said that she was reported missing on July 18th and her body was discovered 2 days later. So why they were notified 16 days later, Who knows? Now, I'm positive the turnaround on that could have been quicker had they said to mom, hey, we found an unidentified teenager in the park. Mom could have then identified her daughter. Right? Now, Mississippi State Crime Laboratory says that policy is to notify next of kin as soon as practicable after a positive identification. Now, to me, as a mom searching for my child, a practicable time is ASAP. Now, Chloe's family is asking 3 very important questions. Why it took investigators 2 weeks to figure out that the unidentified teenager was in fact Chloe, who killed Chloe, and why she was targeted. 3 very important questions that I hope they get answers to. They definitely deserve it. Rest in peace, Chloe McDonald, and I will keep you guys updated on any updates I hear about this case.
Such a darn shame. May she rest in peace. Prayers and condolences to her family. That is so sad. 15 years old. 15 years old. Honey, I still don't know why Black people live in Mississippi. I don't know why Black people still live in Mississippi. I just really don't. It's very concerning. Okay, now, so far, no word back on whether or not Carmelo will get a trial, a new trial, but I'm hopeful that he will. But here are some of the latest reports. This one's from 2 hours ago. Carmelo appeared in court cuffed in a green jumpsuit alongside his new pro bono defense team, led by attorney Russell Wilson and his parents. Family members of Austin Metcalf were also present in the gallery. Now, the defense presented a motion showing an 18-minute news interview with Colin Judge John Roach. In it, Roach defended excluding cameras, public seating limits, excusing 3 Black jurors, and claimed photos linking him to Metcalf were AI. Y'all hear that? He said it was AI. Okay, yeah, we believe you. Now, Cockroach also affirmed the jury reached the correct verdict. Now, Wilson argued Roach's public comments proved he could not be impartial regarding a motion for a new trial. Lead prosecutor Bill Werski argued that Roach acted fairly. Visiting Judge Sid Harley granted the recusal, ordering that a new judge be appointed for the hearing to determine if Anthony should get a new trial. His ruling received cheers and applause from Anthony supporters outside the courtroom. I hope he does get a new trial. Now, they say evidence from the case was released by Judge John Roach after Carmelo Anthony's initial trial concluded. Now, the evidence includes police body camera footage of Anthony's arrest, where he can be heard saying, he put his hands on me. I told him not to. He put his hands on me. In body camera footage, Anthony can be heard saying, I'm not alleged, sir. I did it, when officers referred to him as the alleged suspect in the murder of Austin Metcalf. There are also photos of the knife, 911 calls from frantic teenagers, and surveillance videos of Huey Kendall Stadium where the stabbing occurred. I understood the public's desire to know what happened in the courtroom. The overwhelming focus on my ruling regarding the media in the courtroom was to protect the witness, to protect the process, the witnesses, and the jury. Now, this is what Judge Cockroach said. Now that the trial is over, it is important for me to provide transparency. Oh, so now he's going to start dropping receipts? I doubt it. I seriously doubt it. And so anyway, with that all being said, Carmelo is going to get a new trial. I'm pretty sure of it, because they just did too many unethical things. Okay, they just took it all too far. And it's just so blatantly in our faces. Okay, and I'm still trying to figure out why they let all of those people that saw the initial video, the 30 people plus that saw it, why did they let them see it? I mean, only to now hide it. Makes no sense. I wish we could have seen the real footage instead of that grainy BS that they sent us. But even looking at that, you can tell clearly that, this was all just crazy. Mel says it's totally disgusting. Yes, it is. And Texas is corrupt too. Absolutely. Listen, Mississippi, Texas, Alabama, Georgia, all of them, as far as I'm concerned, Louisiana. I mean, the list goes on and on. Just the South in general is corrupt. Okay, just the South in general. I mean, there's some shady stuff that goes on up north, but down here in the South, they're just so blatant with it. Like they're literally hanging Black people on a regular basis. Are y'all paying attention? They're literally hanging Black people on a regular basis and telling us that it's self-deletions. Like we're just supposed to sit there and believe that. Georgia's not that bad though. I believe it is, beloved, in certain parts. Not the whole state, but in certain parts, I absolutely think it is. I mean, look what happened to Ahmaud Arbery. Okay, those twins that were supposed to be going to Boston and they had their plane tickets and they turned up dead in the woods. Wasn't that here in Georgia? I'm pretty sure it was. Wasn't Cal Basinga? Wasn't he just lynched here in Georgia a few months back? Yeah, Georgia. Yeah, I'm sorry, but Georgia's absolutely on the list for me. Absolutely. That's right. THG says the system's been running for years. And nobody even talks about Mello anymore. We're talking about Mello right now. Beloved, what are you talking about? Outside of Atlanta is bad. Hold on. Now, mind you, all the South has some terrible parts. It's the history. Right. I have to agree. Youngest Turnip says the entire case of Mello should be dismissed, waiting on the change of venue. Also, Queen. Yeah, it should be dismissed. Okay, I don't even think that he should have to go through another trial. He should absolutely never have been arrested in the first place. It was clear-cut self-defense. Now, I know the maggots don't want to hear that, but I don't really care what they want to hear. He should never have been arrested, but, you know, hopefully he will get a new trial. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. And so anyway, I'm about to conclude the broadcast. Listen, I want to thank you all for tuning in. I literally was sitting up here about to doze off, y'all. That's how tired I am. I literally was sitting here about to doze off. So I'm going to get out of here before I literally do. Okay? I want to thank you all for tuning in. Sharon says the North is just as evil. Yeah, you know, I wouldn't put it past them. Okay, Literary Pharaoh says they are at war with us and we are unaware of it. No. Let's say some of us are unaware of it. I think some of us are unaware of it, beloved, but I think most of us should know. I mean, how can we not know at this point, right? But here's the thing. While we're in the midst of this battle, this is a war to be fought in the spiritual realm, like I told you all. It's time to pull out all the stops. It's time to do what your ancestors did, okay, in spiritual warfare. That's what you need to do. Y'all need to be manifesting in all of that. Using magic like that lady said. I mean, after all, didn't their attorney say that's what he's been doing? Said he's been sitting up here casting spells. Does he really think that's going to work? Well, I'm here to tell him it isn't. Okay, so anyway, listen, I love you all to life. I want to thank you all for tuning in. I am going to get some rest. I'm literally going to take a nap after this, but I will be back later. Okay, I will be back later, so keep that in mind. Make sure you turn on your notifications. I want to thank you all for tuning in, and I love you all to life. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive, and always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. And until next time, I'll talk to you all again soon. Peace.
Oh yeah, I'm on your ass. I just got to know. What up with that audio? Well, we not gonna stop. No, we won't go. I'm hugging your parents in spirit. Yeah. Know that we on this case and we demand answers. Oh, they expose. The real queen of receipts. Dropping. Oh, and we got your back. Somebody gon' talk. Hell yeah, the ancestors walking. I'm so serious. Queen on the case. Oh, they asking full-blown panic now. They trying to shut us down, close our mouth. But I just won't. Damn that. Know that. Well, we not gon' stop. parents in spirit, yeah. Nolan, we on this case and we demand answers. Oh, they expose. What happened to you? We tied. You don't get the all my kids ain't cover it up. I said, show yourself, yeah. Steady talking about they was his friends. I said, show up and talk if that's the case. Hold on, Nolan, it's coming to the light. Yeah, the queen on the case. Hold on, Nolan, we won't give up. Rest in his peace. We all love you. No. Nolan. Well, we not gonna stop. No. We won't go. I'm hugging your parents in spirit. We on this case. Oh, they exposed the real queen of receipts. Drop it. We got your back. Somebody gon' talk. Hell yeah, ancestors walking.